Hello there. Welcome to the final candidate webinar for the Michigan Financial Opportunity Corps program. First off, I want to say congratulations for making it this far. I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to talk with you on our final interview over the phone here shortly. So, my name is Rachel Diskin, and I'm the Director of National Service Programs at CEDM, and my responsibility is to manage our AmeriCorps programs, but for the purpose of this webinar, it's to make sure that you know all that you need to know about AmeriCorps and our program specifically before signing on the dotted line. So with that, first I'm going to give you some information, some general information about our program. So the Michigan Financial Opportunity Corps program is a program of AmeriCorps, so that's a federal program. It's hosted through the Corporation for National and Community Service, and it is funded with federal money just like any other federal program is. Organizations apply to host AmeriCorps programs, and the organization that hosts the MFOC is called CEDM. So we are the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, and it's just important for you to know how all of these pieces fit together. It is a federal program, but for all intents and purposes, right now the person you want to talk to when you're asking questions about AmeriCorps or our program will be me, and I work at CEDM. So what we do at CEDM is we provide support and assistance to organizations across the state that do community building and community development. So part of our job is to enable those local organizations to solve problems locally. Part of that is the AmeriCorps program. We have 20 AmeriCorps members through the Michigan Financial Opportunity Corps program that are serving across the state. The organizations that you're serving with, we call them host sites. So that would be the person who was your main contact prior to me. The person who you interviewed with, they are what you would call a host site supervisor, and then I'm the program director. So I oversee all 20 of the positions across the state. We are in the third year of the Michigan Financial Opportunity Corps program, and also in our 9th year of hosting AmeriCorps programs here at CEDM. There are 4 main goals of the MFOC program, and hopefully these sound familiar to you and that your host site supervisor gave you some more detailed information, but all members are trying to bring financial stability to the community. That can look different depending on the organization and the community in which you're serving. So each host site does have a specific position description, but all members are participating in the 2 italicized activities. They're all facilitating financial education workshops, and they're all hosting Show Me the Money Day events. And Show Me the Money Day is kind of like a community resource fair where people can come to one place to learn about all different kinds of financial stability programs, products. It's free. It's kind of like a fun carnival for financial stability work. Some members will also be participating in building capacity with the VITA Free Tax Assistance Program, and other members will also be doing some foreclosure prevention work. So you can see how all 4 of those activities influence financial stability in a community. So again, everyone's doing the first 2, and then depending on the needs of the community and the host site, some members are also participating in one or both of the other optional activities. So it's just an overview of what the program looks like. Then now let's talk about what some of the benefits are. The main benefit is actually going to be on the next page, and that's the training and professional development. But these are the more tangible ones that all AmeriCorps members, no matter where they're serving across the country, receive. So everybody receives a living allowance for this program. It's $13,732, and that's annually. So that's the total amount you'll receive for your year of service. You will receive it biweekly, just like any other pay. So it'll be like direct deposited into your bank account. And that amount prior to taxes is $528.15. So I like to make sure that people are very well aware of the actual number. Sometimes when you break it down, it becomes a little more realistic. So that's what you will receive biweekly, $528.15. AmeriCorps members also receive qualified student loan forbearance. Most of the time this means federal student loans. On the one-pager that you've received, there is a link that takes you to the AmeriCorps website that talks more detailed about this, so you can check to see if your loans qualify. If you have private student loans, I would suggest reaching out to them now and letting them know that you're signing up for a term of service, asking to see if you can get those loans put into an income-based payment option or some kind of deferment. AmeriCorps members also receive an education award. So when you finish your service successfully, you receive $5,920 of an education award. That can be used to pay back student loans, and again, those are qualified student loans, usually federal, or to continue your education. Continue your education means you can use to pay for classes or cost of attendance of schools. Again, you'll be able to find more information about that on the Federal AmeriCorps website. And if you have specific questions, you can always reach out to me as well, and I can do my best to point you in the right direction. Similar to that, AmeriCorps members also qualify for an interest accrual payment. So your student loans that are put into forbearance, any of those loans you'll get the interest that accrues on it paid back. And that's something that we'll go over towards the end of your service term if that applies to you. And then I do want to mention that for all of these benefits, you are responsible for all taxes. So your living allowance is taxed, so you're not going to see $528.15 exactly deposited into your account. Depending on what you put down on your tax forms, that's going to could look very different, could be much less. And the same thing when it comes to your education award, that is taxed after the fact, so it looks like untaxed income when you use it. You don't have to worry about it at all until you use it. If you never use it, you never have to use taxes on it. But I want to point that out right at the beginning to be aware of those implications. Additional benefits include health care. So there are two health care options with our program. The first is Healthy Michigan, and that's actually not an AmeriCorps-specific health program at all. It's something through the state of Michigan that anybody who's making under the federal poverty line is eligible to apply for. This is a really great program. You will see on their website the copays are very low. So to just go to the doctor is a $4 copay for office visits, $4 for preferred prescriptions, $8 for non-preferred, and there is dental and vision included, and it's $4 for dentist visits and $2 for vision visits. So that's a really great plan, and even if you don't end up taking advantage of it, I like to make sure that everybody's aware of it because it is so beneficial for people who are living around that poverty line. There is the option to take Cigna health insurance, so that is through the AmeriCorps program specifically, and that is not income restricted at all. So just know that anyone is eligible to sign up for it, but it's only you and not your dependents. If you sign up for Healthy Michigan, anyone in your household, your family, anyone in the whole state can apply for it and see if they qualify. So that one, Healthy Michigan is income restricted, Cigna is not. But the reason why I tell you about Healthy Michigan is because the Cigna insurance option is really limited. So it is meant to be just there in case of emergencies really during your AmeriCorps service term. It's not meant to be a long-term plan. The copay is 20% for most charges, but for preventative care is free with Cigna. But the one thing that I've noticed is there aren't as many doctors in the network, and it can be difficult because a lot of things require pre-authorization. That is an option, and you will decide whether you're taking that benefit when you fill out paperwork at the beginning of your service term. Next up is child care benefits. So you can also find the links to these two benefits on that one-pager that was sent to you. So AmeriCorps has its own child care benefit program, and you can also apply to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They are both exactly the same. They're the same benefits. AmeriCorps based theirs off of the Department of Health and Human Services, but you can only receive one. You can't receive both. So that's important to know. You can look into which one you would be interested in applying for. But again, this is something that is income dependent. So if you have other income coming into your household, maybe you have a partner who has income, or you have another job where you're bringing income in, it's possible that you might not qualify for the child care benefits. So just keep that in mind. If you go to their website, there is information that can help you determine whether or not you think you'll qualify. And those, again, go along with Healthy Michigan with that income requirement. And finally, I do want to mention public benefits, namely food stamps, specifically because food stamps are written into federal legislation that AmeriCorps income can't count as income when you're applying for food stamps. So you should be able to receive a maximum amount for your household if you don't have any other income coming in. So depending on your circumstances in your county that you're in, that could look like somewhere around $200 a month that you're receiving in food stamps. So it's worth looking into that, and you can apply for all of those through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services website, and yet again, a link to that is on that one-pager that I sent you. So those are the more tangible benefits. The final benefit I want to talk to you about is the training opportunity that you have here with our program. So our program is unique in that we are not only asking you to come in and serve your community, but we're looking at you as an AmeriCorps member as the next level of leadership within our field. So the goal here is to equip you with the tools that are going to allow you to be successful in the nonprofit world. So at the end of every service term, I send out a survey to all of the AmeriCorps members, and I ask, what are you doing next? And it makes me so happy when I see that almost everybody has some kind of employment lined up, where they're going back to school or they're planning to do another term of AmeriCorps service. So it's really my goal to make sure that by the end of your 365 days, you're ready to hit the ground running in whatever way that you want to do so. So we do that in a variety of different ways. The first is twice monthly webinars. So there are two series. One is a Community Economic Development 101 series. This is a deep dive into what is community economic development and what does the field look like. So we have guest presenters facilitating webinars on the different sectors of our field to help you get an idea of what types of jobs are out there and to give you just a better understanding of the field in general so that you can have educated conversations with people when you run into them, when you're out networking and that type of thing. And then the second is a professional development soft skills series. So each month we will talk in depth about soft skills such as time management or communication, because that's what we're hearing mostly from professionals in the field when you're asking, so what skills are missing from entry-level professionals in our field? And it's that soft skills, the stuff you can't really teach in class, that we're having trouble with attaining. So we're going to do my best to help you along those lines as well. And then, of course, there will be conferences and other opportunities that come up during your service term that I will always be on the lookout to let you know that there are opportunities that come up. But then also there is an in-person training piece. So this is when you get to meet me in person. And all these trainings are in Lansing. So the first one, hopefully your host site supervisor told you, September 25th through 28th, and that's in Lansing. So that's orientation. And it goes into everything you need to know to get started as a member with our program. So the first day is some more like broad, welcome to nonprofit, welcome to community economic development, and some cultural competency pieces that we want to make sure that everyone starts with like a base knowledge and we're all starting from the same level. Then the second day and the third day have a peer review piece built in where we're going to teach you how to facilitate financial education classes, and we're also going to ask you to do so with a partner. So that is, it sounds intimidating, but most members actually seem to enjoy it, and it's a good way to really just dive in and dive into facilitating within your peer group. And then Friday, the 28th, is the full day on that Show Me the Money Day event. So we're going to talk about what does it look like to plan a community event of that scale. And it will be really beneficial for you to just walk through it step by step to get your feet wet on that. If you have any questions about specific pieces of orientation and the content, don't hesitate to reach out to me, but just know that there is another webinar coming once you get started at your host site where I will go into a lot more detail about orientation for you, but I just want to make sure you have these dates on your calendar. And if you're traveling from outside of Lansing, a hotel room will be provided. You'll be roomed with somebody of the same gender, so there will be 2 to a room. Just heads up there. but you will be reimbursed for your travel, and meals are provided. So the goal here is that nothing is coming out of your pocket to attend orientation or any trainings, because I should have mentioned earlier that I was an AmeriCorps member for 2 years. I know what it's like to live on the living allowance. My goal is that you never are penalized for attending our trainings or anything like that. So that's orientation, your first in-person training, and then I also want to make sure you're aware that there are 3 additional times that you're going to be required to travel for this training for AmeriCorps. They're all going to be in Lansing. The next one is in November following orientation. So this is important to know, get these dates on your calendar right now. This is the only other overnight for you, but the first one it's a 2-day. November 21st is a quarterly training, so you'll be back just with our cohort, just the 20 people in our group will be there together. And then November 22nd is Member Celebration. Member Celebration is something that's unique to AmeriCorps in Michigan, where it's a 1-day conference type event where there are different tracks and different sessions that you can choose to go to, and then a few plenary type pieces where everyone's all in one big room and listening to a speaker. But every AmeriCorps member in Michigan is invited to attend, and it's a really great opportunity for you to get to know other people who are serving in AmeriCorps. There are more than 1,000 people serving in AmeriCorps across the state, so usually there's around 600 or 700 people who attend this event. It's a really great opportunity for you to get to know folks and to network. And then we will have 2 more trainings where it's our cohort again, but they're just 1 day. So they will be in February and June, and the actual dates for those are on your 1-pager. So these are all required. All these training pieces are required. And again, there might be other opportunities that come up during the year, and I'm always going to be on the lookout for those and letting you know about them. But they won't be mandatory. However, all of these that you have at the beginning of the year, the dates and that information, these are mandatory. All right, so those are the benefits. Let's move on to some member requirements. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you understand this is a federal program. Requirements and activities and goals are non-negotiable because we are bound to the grant that we wrote to host this AmeriCorps program. So when I say it's 1 year of service, I mean it's 1 year of service. It's not 364 days. And then again, non-negotiable because this is a grant-based program. And you are doing 1 year of service. And I like to make sure you're aware that it's not a regular job. I assume you probably already figured that out, judging by the amount of the living allowance, some of the benefits that are a little bit different than what you would look at in a regular type of employment situation. But you really are giving 1 year of service to your community. Your host site applied to host an AmeriCorps member, and they paid a host site fee to host you there. So they are paying part of your living allowance, and it's important that you know that if you leave, they may not replace you. So take this commitment to 1 year of service very seriously. Know that you are going to get a lot out of it. You will get a modest living allowance. There are some excellent training opportunities and professional development experiences, but you are serving for 1 year. And that's full-time service. So that looks like 40 hours a week, full-time. You are expected to follow whatever full-time looks like for your host site. So that just know that you're expected to follow those policies around your hours. So if everyone there works 9 to 5, your service is 9 to 5 as well. And the same thing with time off. So I don't have any specific requirements around time off. At my level, I allow the host sites to determine that. And that also will affect your holidays. So whatever holidays staff members receive, you also will not be expected to show up that day. One thing I do want to mention is the 1,700-hour minimum. So that is confusing to a lot of people because it's not what a lot of other jobs don't look at service that way or their hours that way. But basically, if you average it out across the whole year, that makes it about 32 hours that you need. But again, I tell people 40 hours because anytime you're not serving, you aren't counting hours. So like I mentioned, if staff at an organization receive a holiday off, you also don't have to go there, but that just means you're not getting 8 hours of service time that day. If you're not there, you can't count the hours, so your week would probably look closer to 32, or for example, if it's Thanksgiving holiday or an extended break, you can get in the negative on your hours pretty quickly. So again, full-time for 1 full year. And we'll go more into that at orientation. And then last but not least, our political and religious restrictions. AmeriCorps is bound to federal regulations just like federal staff are around political and religious activities. So during time that you're counting as your service hours, you can't attempt to influence anyone politically or religiously. Whatever you do on your spare time is still your personal time. So this restriction does not in any way impact your personal time, but it does impact your time at your service site that you're counting hours. Again, we'll go more into this at orientation, but I do just want to make sure that you're aware that there are some restrictions that you should be aware of. All right, so that is all the information that I wanted to give you today. Next steps, make sure to review that one-pager. I referenced it a few times on this call, on this webinar, but make sure you take a look at it. And there are hyperlinks to many of the different benefits. Click on those, look around, and let me know if you have any questions. The next step will be a final interview with me. So you'll have the opportunity to ask questions about any of this information. You are also welcome to just send me an email right now whenever you listen to this. I'd be happy to try to answer it via email as well. After the final interview, just know there's plenty of paperwork coming your way. So most of your communication with me will be via email. So expect to see emails coming from me. Once you're approved and once your final interview goes well, which I'm sure it will, you're going to be asked for to do fingerprinting and then also to do some payroll paperwork. So there's quite a bit that's coming your way, and we want to make sure all of that's in place prior to the start date. And that is one thing I forgot to mention, so very important, is what your start date is. So start date is September 4th. So just be cognizant of that. I said it's a full year of service. September 4th is the start date, and you are serving for 365 days, so your final date of service would be September 3rd, 2019. All right, well, send me an email or give me a phone call if you have any questions. Otherwise, I look forward to our final interview. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Please stand by.